Okay.
We're live.
Good morning.
Good morning to you, John. How are you?
I'm okay.
Good.
We had a summer weekend, and now it's turning somewhat wintry again, but nothing too serious. Just a lot of wind. But it is Chicago, so
February in Chicago. That's what
yeah.
I would expect.
But it
Yes.
was like almost 70 degrees here
Wow.
on President's Day. Yeah.
Nice.
It was very nice. It's like what's going on here? We're going to get clobbered next.
Yeah.
But it's everything changes.
Yep. Yep. That's what they say. Just
No
if you don't
better
like the
Dharma, no better Dharma lessons than the weather.
than the weather. Yeah. Just if you don't like the weather, just wait a few minutes. Right.
Yeah,
That's what they say.
yeah. Okay. Speaking of that, our topic today is humor.
Yep.
Um,
Yeah.
Humor in the Buddhist world, humor in meditation, humor and the value of humor. I
Hmm.
think is really what we're talking about. And uh, I happen to be teaching a class right now, uh, which is called, well, the whole series is called um, Broken Heart Dharma.
Mm.
And like I think one of the ways of dealing with a broken heart is humor, whatever is breaking your heart.
Yeah. Sure.
And even if we just put it on a social and social justice level and political level, which is not particularly funny, but we can see how the late night comedians are bringing humor into it as they are making points.
Hmm.
And I think the same thing can work through meditation. And I know you did a video a while ago on humor in the teachings, and obviously there was, to some degree, we don't really know, but to some degree the Buddha must have you know told jokes or made fun of things, or maybe not. But I mean, as we were talking a minute ago, like, what did the Buddha sound like when he laughed? Did he laugh?
Yeah. It's a
Yeah.
good question. Yeah. I mean, we'll never.
We'll never
These
know.
questions we'll never know for sure.
And there are all these little rupas of laughing Buddhas, but it wasn't really you know.
Yeah. I mean, there's one place where the Buddha says that, he doesn't, he discourages too much laughter among the monks, because I think he says that it's regarded as childish. So, I think he wanted a certain amount of decorum and seriousness among the monks. He didn't,
Gravitas.
he didn't want them, joking around too much. But on the other hand, he was often very, satirical in his stories. And some of them are, I mean, at least to our ears, funny in various ways. So yeah, I think he had probably a humorous streak, a satirical streak. Like to poke fun at people who were, in his eyes, overly egoistic and full of themselves, and that was kind of usually the way his humor would go.
Mm, right.
Um,
It was giving jabs at certain Brahmins who were, yeah, full of themselves. Right.
or the gods. The gods were his one of his
Right.
big uh, punching bags. I would say, of
Probably
his
Mara as well, right?
Mars. Not so much. It's more Brahma. The chief of the gods, who is somebody who, in the Buddha's stories, is always, well, not always, but usually depicted as a sort of a pompous blowhard who is full of himself and thinks that he created the world and created everything, and in fact didn't. And who believes he knows everything, but in fact doesn't.
That
And
sounds familiar.
yeah, exactly, exactly.
Yeah, one of the Asuras. Um,
Yeah,
yeah, so I mean, I try to use it in teaching as much as I can, and
well, you're learning also. You're learning on
right, I'm
the
learning how
second
to be a
city.
stand-up. There's a whole
So,
thing around stand-up, and there was
geez.
one really great teacher, and I encourage people to YouTube this guy named Wes Nisker, who was a teacher at Spirit Rock, and also was I think, founder and editor of an old journal called Insight Journal. I think, no, Inquiring Minds, which was a really good Dharma journal that ended publication maybe 10 years ago, but you can still get the archives. But Wes was a stand-up comedian,
I didn't know. Okay.
and he has. I'm sure you can find it. Excuse me. As you know, I've been teaching already this morning. Hold on one second.
Sure.
My voice is here somewhere, and I've got 2.5 hours to teach after this. Um, he has. If you just Google or YouTube Wes Nisker stand-up, it will come up. I mean, I have a DVD of it. I don't know where I put my DVDs because I no longer have a DVD player, but
Yeah,
he was
exactly.
brilliant. I'm really brilliant.
Uh,
And yeah, the stand-up I'm doing now is really fun, but the limiting thing is that, our final our public show, which is our final, is next week, and we only have 5 minutes.
oh.
And it does give you a sense of time because when I
Mm.
did a open mic last week, we were told it was going to be 4 minutes, but then it ended up being 3 minutes. And it's like that minute means a lot. And
It does.
the thing is, the and actually at this bar where the open mic was, I and the bar was pretty low. So, I mean, the bar of comedy was pretty low from the other stand-ups. Uh, but by the time I went up, which was like number 25 or something, I'd heard some pretty. I was confident that I would be okay.
Yeah.
Um, and I said, so in my other life, I'm a meditation teacher, so I thought I would maybe do some meditation here. And so I just stood for like, I don't know, 20 seconds, with my eyes closed, pretending to meditate. Maybe I was actually meditating, I don't remember. I guess I'm always meditating to some degree, and then somebody started to laugh. And I said, hey, how did you know what was going on in my mind? And that kind of broke the ice. And then I just ended up, talking about being on silent retreat, which in itself is hilarious in many cases. But I think that there are any number of stories, that from the teachings, or that aren't necessarily funny in themselves, but when they're told, they seem kind of hilarious. Like the Bahia Sutta, which ends with Bahia getting killed by a runaway
Oh,
cow.
right. Yes, that's
Like,
true.
and that was his, and the one was Ajahn Amaro, says, that was the fastest case of enlightenment, on record,
Yeah.
because he had just gotten this one teaching, he was awake, and then he got killed.
Yeah.
But I don't know that a runaway bull maybe, but happened to be right there at the right time,
Yeah.
took
It
him
is
out.
kind of a strange way to end the sutta.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like he gets enlightened and then all of a sudden he's dead. Oh well. Well. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it isn't funny just to read, but it's funny to talk about.
Yeah. Well, I think that there's certainly one of the great things about humor is that it helps us to relax. It helps
Yeah,
us to if it's done properly, it helps us to let go of things that we oftentimes are clinging to too strongly.
yeah,
And if we can just, if we have the capacity to relax enough to be able to laugh at ourselves or at the situation, it can help to, to make it easier to deal with.
yeah, and
Wait, I lost you. Hold on a second.
oh, that I was just playing. That doesn't work. Okay.
Yeah, there you go.
I thought I could just get rid of me on the screen by expanding
You
you,
can,
but
but then I
different.
can't see you.
Um, uh, I think it's really important because we take ourselves so seriously,
Yeah.
and even when I say that at times in a class, that just changes things.
Mm.
Because it's like if we recognize that our minds are just doing what our minds do, and we don't have to take everything it says as the reality, And, can we just welcome the inner critic or welcome the ruminating thoughts with some level of levity, then how does that change our relationship with it?
Mm-hmm.
I think one of I know one of the traps that people fall into, including myself, is just, getting caught in that proliferating mind as if it's the real thing.
Mm-hmm.
And once we start to sort of take it lightly and with humor, then it changes everything, and allows us to ease up. And I think it can be interesting also when we see these images of the Buddha having that slight smile on his face when he's meditating. It's like, well, what's going on there?
Some
Something.
people say it's jhana, so I don't mean
Well, it may be jhana, of course.
that's what I think
I'm
that's what
sure it is, and
Wei
it's a
Xingchen
very
says.
pleasant feeling. But
Yeah.
I suspect there are times when the monks themselves would, smile at some hilarious thing that came up in the mind. Who knows?
Mm-hmm.
But even that physical movement of smiling changes the face and changes how we feel in those
Yeah.
moments. And I think Thich Nhat Hanh was big on that. Just asking people to smile.
There's
Or
the same quote of the Buddha where he says that too much laughter is childish. He says when you're appropriately pleased, it's enough to simply smile.
beautiful. There you go. When you're appropriately pleased. Okay.
Yeah, which I like.
Well,
It's
so
just
that's contentment. You know.
yeah.
But I mean, what? Not that they were sitting around watching comedy movies because those weren't available back then. Um,
Well, you know that the Buddha was very tended for his monks when he was talking to his monks. The idea is that they shouldn't be involved in dancing or music or things
right.
like that. Those are, and I think this is probably
Precepts.
some of
Yeah.
the same thing. Is that they're supposed to be they have decorum. I'll put it that way,
Right.
especially when they're among lay people, because they're uh, they are themselves symbols of the Dharma among lay people. They're supposed to be teaching lay people, so they should have some. And he came from a kshatriya, one of the ruler clan in
Right.
uh, India and Nepal, and so I think that's part of it too. He sort of had a sense of being upright and not laughing too much, but but at the same time, he did have a sense of humor.
What's off the top of your head? What's the funniest teaching that is?
Oh,
That
yeah. I mean, I would say the funniest one is the one. My favorite is the one with Brahma, where there's this monk who is asking where the four elements go to disappear, something like that. He's basically asking a question about very, very deep meditation. What happens in very, very deep meditation states, and he goes to ask the gods, and he asks the first realm of gods, and they don't know, and they say go to the higher realm and ask them, and he keeps going up and up and up of these realms until he reaches Brahma, who is the lord of all, and so he asks Brahma about this. Where do we go to
mm,
anyway? Where do we go to have the end of uh, the four
elements.
elements? Yeah, I mean it's again, it doesn't matter what the exact state is, but and so Brahma says in response, he says, "I am the Lord Brahma. I'm the creator of all, the owner of all,
Like the Wizard of Oz,
the
basically. Yeah.
Wizard of Oz." But yeah, exactly. And the monk says to him, I wasn't asking you about that. I was just asking you this other question. And they go through this three times because, in ancient
Right.
India, there seems to have been this kind of trope that if you ask somebody something three times, they
They
have
have
to
to.
answer on
Yeah.
and the third time. And so on the third time, and it reads like something out of vaudeville. It
But the
says
Buddha is telling this story.
it's the Buddha's telling the story,
Yeah.
right?
Okay.
It reads like something out of vaudeville. The Buddha says, that Brahma then pulled the monk to one side and said, and said to him, sotto voce, in a low
Right.
voice, I don't really know as much as I thought, as I say I do. In fact, I don't have any idea about the answer to your question. You should ask the Buddha. I mean, it's pretty clearly supposed to
Right.
be a satire, and the upshot of it is that the gods don't know all that they claim to know,
Right.
basically, and that the Buddha himself knows much more about deep states of meditative absorption than even Brahma himself. So, take that as you will, but at least it's a satire of the gods.
Right. Who deserved it?
Yeah.
He also had a way of playing with words,
Oh yeah.
big time. Just common words.
Redefining words. Yeah.
Redefining. Yeah.
Yeah. Like Brahman itself. I mean, he would, redefine Brahman to mean somebody who was ethical and eventually somebody who would reach enlightenment instead of being somebody from a particular caste or clan.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I mean, it's. In all of these cases, I think it's intended to poke fun at the Brahmins themselves. Obviously, the god Brahma is a deity, but through that, he's poking fun at the sort of pompousness of the Brahmins who are, referring to these gods when they're doing their prayers and so on.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I mean, it's pointed. There's a certain pointedness about it that I think we tend to overlook nowadays. Because we're not from that culture.
Sure.
So,
Yeah. And we wouldn't get the language metaphors necessarily. I mean, the language
well, that too.
redefining
Hmm.
or changing meanings.
Hmm.
But clearly, uh, that's an important part of the way he taught. Just the use of language, and I think also that, I mean, those of us who teach, we rely on a lot of our own stories to make a point that's there in the suttas, and if the stories have a certain level of self-deprecation or levity, at least, that actually makes the teaching that much more potent, I think.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah.
and it's fun. It's one of the reasons I took this class, was just to sort of refine that aspect of what I do. But and I think that it's really interesting. I think maybe I talked to you about this off the record last week, but I went to hear one of the great comics of the day, Josh Johnson, who was a young, in his early 30s, I'd say, if that. And his whole thing is just telling stories, but he tells them, they're from his life primarily, but they're not always. I mean, he's making stuff up too, but he has a way of how he's relating to a particular thing. And when I saw him last Friday, it was right, 5 days after the Super Bowl, and the whole thing was about Bad Bunny and Bad Bunny's performance, and then the alternate version that the conservatives put out. And I mean, it was a beautiful retelling of the whole experience, and then having little asides about how others might react to it, and there's a way of telling a story. I mean, there's dharma in everything, basically, and if we use our stories to kind of highlight a dharmic teaching, that makes the teaching so much more powerful, or it can. And I think that's for me, that's what's important. And when I hear other teachers do the same, especially monks, I mean, when monks tell funny stories, as Ajahn Suchito does often, they're really funny. Let's think about it, somebody who's, not from that part of who's not from that culture, who then becomes a monk for however many years, 50 years at this point, over, it's like, wow, the stories that he tells are really quite something. And Yeah, the book he wrote and then recorded about his wandering. This is Ajahn Suchito, about his walking uh, trip through all the holy sites in India. There were just some experiences that were really funny,
Mm.
and at the same time, true Dharma teachings.
Hmm.
So yeah, it can be really a powerful tool.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember there's the book, this who ordered this truckload of
Oh
dung, I
yeah,
think.
right, Ajahn Brahm. Yeah,
Yeah, John Brahm, and that's a similar kind of thing,
yeah,
where
yeah, yeah.
it's a very humorous story about somebody getting a truckload of dung dropped on their front lawn without wanting it, and
Right,
then realizing, well, okay, now I can use it to fertilize my
fertilize everything.
yard.
Yeah,
Yeah, right.
yeah, um,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah. So
And John Brahm also has very funny stories sometimes.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Um,
And and in Zen, there are lots of very 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 funny stories. And I mean, the whole idea of monkey mind, which actually comes from the suttas, is itself, I think, has an element of humor to it. The mind being like a monkey, just jumping from branch to branch and
right,
grabbing on a
right.
different branch every time, and sort of wandering around. How do you get it to slow down and stop and spend some time?
Yeah,
And
and yeah, and it's true that some of the Zen teachers and Zen teachings can be really quite funny.
yeah,
Um, and it's there's something when a monk tells a story that's funny. It's just it can be really dry, and then it gets to the punchline, and everybody cracks up. Um, so yeah, I mean, it's all there. It's all there, and just if we lighten our own load and learn to lighten up,
yeah,
not take ourselves so seriously, especially our minds,
hmm
then it can really, I think, uh, change one's practice.
yeah,
'Cause we just
yeah,
relax, no
hmm
question about it. Um,
yeah. And I mean, that's one of the things that can happen with practice, just as it can with any kind of, well, or I was going to say any kind of activism as well. If we were talking, I mean, thinking back to activism, we had um, Ben Connolly
yeah,
on the show a while ago, recently, is that it can burn you out if you take it, if you take it deadly seriously all the time. I mean, and a lot of people, really lean into that, that it's something serious and you have to take it seriously, and not something to laugh about, and there's a time for everything, and so there are certainly times when that's right. um but I think if we take that too literally, then we can get burned out by it, because it just
for sure.
helps. It helps I think it helps our psyche to be able to laugh about things.
Oh, for sure. And that's again why the late night comedians are doing so well right now.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
people really need that, and
Yep.
that's why, I mean, Josh Johnson's sold out 5 shows at the Chicago Theater. That's 3,600 seats per
Wow.
show.
Wow.
And that's kind of amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I mean, I know he's popular, but that's a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I'd never been in that theater. It's gorgeous,
Mm.
really beautiful theater. Anyway, yeah. So I think I'll put Wes Nisker's a YouTube link to Wes Nisker because he's a prime example of a teacher who used humor all the time.
Mm.
Um, and then he did then he put together a whole stand-up routine around it. So um, bringing a lot of Dharmic teachings into it. Yeah. So highly recommended.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm not familiar with his stuff. I'd like to see it.
yeah. Well, you will. And you know, he was a wonderful teacher. He died too soon, but
Mm.
yeah. So yeah, friends, let us know what brings you delight and laughter, you know, within the teachings and in your own practice. You know, do you take yourself too seriously, or can
Yeah,
you
anything
lighten
funny
up?
going on? If there's anything funny in your practice, let us know.
Yeah, yeah, we want to know, you know,
Yeah,
because then
we
I
want
can
to
make
hear about it.
stories up and add them to mine. You know,
There you go. Yeah, Johnny needs them for his
I
stand-up
need material.
routine.
Yeah,
He
for
needs
sure.
material. Yep.
All right, and
Talking about funny things, coffee. Coffee's hilarious. It's certainly funny that we always get back to it at the
yeah,
end.
somehow we have to wind our way back to it. It's true.
That's right.
Yes, we love our coffee, and my cup is empty at the moment. Thankfully, I made a pot just before we started, so it'll be there when I'm done.
Lucky
And
you.
but if you'd like to buy us a cup of coffee, go to our website, and it helps support the show. And,
Diggingthedharma.com.
and we will drink it in good health. Um, so
And with a bit of smile
yeah,
or
always.
laughter. Yeah.
And leave us some comments. Yeah, we want to know what you think,
Yeah.
what your practice is like, and what we
What you
missed.
find funny. What you
Yeah,
find funny in your practice. That
yeah,
would be good.
yeah, for sure. All right, sir. Until next week,
Keep
keep
digging the
digging the
Dharma.
Dharma.
Thanks a lot, John.